Mark Carney did not waste a single moment after arriving in Japan. Within hours of landing in Tokyo, the Canadian Prime Minister was already seated across from Japan's Prime Minister, finalizing a strategic partnership that could significantly reshape Canada's economic future. The agreement spans energy cooperation, critical minerals, advanced technology, defense coordination, and perhaps most importantly, access to new global markets. And that matters because this is exactly the kind of development Donald Trump would rather not see. It gives Canada leverage. For years, Trump's economic strategy toward Canada has leaned on one simple reality: Canada's heavy dependence on the U.S. market. But every time Carney locks in another partnership, whether in India, Australia, or now Japan, that dependency weakens. And that is precisely why this latest move.
Prime Minister Mark Carney is in Japan this morning, the last leg of his Indo-Pacific trade tour. Just hours after landing in Tokyo, Carney and Japanese Prime Minister Sanai Takaichi signed a new comprehensive strategic partnership. The aim of the pact is to boost cooperation on defense, energy, trade, and technology. Officials from both Canada and Japan have been told to identify immediate investment opportunities. Carney and Takaichi also agreed to expand trade when it comes to energy projects, including liquefied natural gas, and to work closer on critical minerals.
From the moment Mark Carney touched down in Tokyo, the momentum was impossible to ignore. Within hours, he was meeting Japan's Prime Minister and unveiling a sweeping strategic partnership between the two countries. The deal focuses on four key pillars: defense cooperation, energy security, expanded trade, and the advanced technologies expected to shape the global economy for decades to come. But beneath those headline areas lies something even more significant. Canada and Japan are aligning their strengths in industries that will define the next era of economic power. That includes liquefied natural gas development, the extraction and processing of critical minerals, cooperation on semiconductor production, artificial intelligence research, and a wide range of emerging clean energy technologies. These are not just promising sectors, they are the backbone of modern industrial economies. And Canada happens to possess exactly what Japan needs to secure its long-term economic future: dependable energy supplies, massive reserves of rare earth minerals, and a stable democratic partner capable of supporting resilient supply chains. That is why this announcement is far more than a routine diplomatic statement. It represents a practical economic alliance designed to strengthen both nations while reducing their vulnerability in an increasingly unpredictable global economy. And this is where the geopolitical implications begin to emerge, because the agreement is not only about Canada and Japan. It is about leverage. Donald Trump has spent years attempting to use tariffs and economic pressure to push Canada into concessions. But that strategy only works if Canada has limited alternatives. Mark Carney is making sure those limits disappear. From China and India to Australia, Japan, the European Union, and the Gulf states across the Indo-Pacific, Carney is quietly building a network of partnerships rooted in Canada's core strengths: energy, minerals, and technology. The larger that network becomes, the less vulnerable Canada is to American pressure. Tariffs lose their sting, threats lose their force, and Canada gains greater negotiating power. Simply put, the more international partnerships Canada secures, the less leverage Washington can exercise.
Think about critical minerals, think about energy. Those are the cards that Canada has to play on the world stage, and those are the basis upon which we can really animate relationships and trading partnerships with countries outside of the United States, or where we really have some advantage. And so whether it's the Australians, Japanese, or the Indians, we've seen that critical minerals and energy, and trying to forge new partnerships on that, consistently arise as priority items. And I think really in total what you're seeing is the Prime Minister's trying to play to Canada's strengths and again give us options beyond the U.S. market, which obviously is no longer reliable.
There is another critical reason these partnerships carry such long-term importance for Canada's economic strategy. Canada happens to sit on some of the exact resources the modern global economy increasingly depends on: critical minerals required for advanced battery systems, rare earth elements that power electronics and defense technologies, and vast energy reserves capable of fueling entire industrial economies. These sectors represent areas where Canada holds a clear natural advantage on the global stage. According to many analysts, those advantages give Canada the ability to build strong trade relationships far beyond the United States and expand its economic options in a rapidly changing world. Japan understands this dynamic extremely well. Its sophisticated manufacturing economy depends on stable access to raw materials and secure supply chains that cannot be easily disrupted by geopolitical tensions. But those supply chains are currently under intense pressure. China dominates much of the world's rare earth mineral processing. Meanwhile, the United States has increasingly embraced tariffs and protectionist trade policies that leaves countries like Japan searching for reliable partners capable of providing both resources and stability. Canada fits that description almost perfectly. It is a democratic country with strong institutions, enormous natural resources, and a long-standing reputation for reliability in international partnerships. That is why Japan views Canada not simply as a trading partner.
If these partnerships are acted upon, for really, really strong economic ties. And again, I think there's another dimension to all this. The Prime Minister clearly seems to be trying to patch together a set of Indo-Pacific relationships, which in turn might be able to patch together with something with the EU, so that you've got a major trading bloc, or at least major potential partnerships of which Canada would be a part, but the United States would not. A way of giving us leverage against the might of the United States, so they can't just push us around on the world stage when it comes to trade.
What we are seeing unfold is not a collection of unrelated diplomatic visits. It is a deliberate strategy taking shape across the Indo-Pacific region. Mark Carney is effectively constructing a network of partnerships designed to strengthen Canada's economic position while reducing its vulnerability to pressure from any single power, particularly from Donald Trump. During this tour alone, he has already deepened Canada's ties with India, expanded cooperation with Australia, and now secured a major strategic partnership with Japan. Each agreement focuses on sectors where Canada holds genuine global influence, especially energy production, critical minerals, advanced technologies, and defense cooperation. And together, these deals point toward something far larger. Increasingly, analysts believe Carney is attempting to build a broader Indo-Pacific economic network that could eventually connect closely with European partners as well. If that vision takes shape, it could become one of the most significant economic frameworks of the modern era. Canada, China, India, Australia, Japan, and the European Union working within interconnected trade and investment relationships would represent an enormous coalition of advanced economies capable of collaborating without depending exclusively on the United States market. That does not mean replacing Canada's relationship with the United States. Instead, it means balancing it in a way that gives Canada far greater negotiating strength in the years ahead. And in today's intensely competitive global economy, that kind of balance can be decisive. Just look at what has happened in a matter of weeks. Carney arrives in India and signs major agreements. He moves to Australia and strengthens security and energy cooperation. Now he lands in Japan and announces a strategic partnership almost immediately. This is diplomacy moving at remarkable speed. And every agreement sends the same message. Canada is no longer relying